Good evening. Across America, families are still feeling the pinch, hoping for relief as they juggle bills and budgets. The memory of past stimulus checks, lifelines for many, remains vivid. Now, headlines are buzzing again. Could another round of direct payments be on the way? Tonight, we'll break down the facts behind the latest proposal, what's different this time, and what hurdles stand in the way. From the White House to the Supreme Court, this story is about more than just a check. It's about how government decisions ripple through every household. Let's dive into what's really happening and what it could mean for you. President Donald Trump has floated a new proposal, a one-time $2,000 payment for Americans. Unlike previous stimulus checks, this one would be funded by tariffs, taxes on imported goods. The payment would target middle and lower-income Americans, though exact income limits haven't been set. Trump hopes to send these checks by the end of 2026, but the timeline depends on a Supreme Court case about the tariffs. Right now, this is just a proposal, not law, not funded, and not guaranteed. For it to happen, legal and political hurdles must be cleared, including possible congressional approval. The path from idea to payment is anything but simple. What makes this proposal stand out from previous government relief efforts is its unique funding source, tariff revenue. Rather than relying on traditional methods like borrowing or raising taxes, this plan taps into money the government is already collecting at the nation's borders. Every day, as goods from around the world arrive at U.S. ports, importers pay tariffs, essentially taxes, on those products. These payments flow directly into the federal treasury, creating a pool of funds that could be used for new purposes. Tariffs are designed to serve two main goals: to protect American industries by making foreign goods more expensive, and to generate revenue for the government. In theory, this money could be redirected to help American families, especially during times of economic stress. The idea is to use funds already collected rather than adding to the national debt or increasing the tax burden on citizens. Instead of borrowing more money or cutting spending elsewhere, the plan proposes to use the billions of dollars already gathered from tariffs on imported goods. This approach could make the payments more politically palatable, since it doesn't require new taxes or deficit spending. However, there's a significant complication. The tariffs that would fund these payments are currently being challenged in the Supreme Court. Many businesses argue that the tariffs were imposed without proper legal authority, and that they've unfairly increased costs for American companies and consumers alike. If the Supreme Court rules in favor of these businesses, the government could be forced to refund the tariff money, leaving nothing left to fund the proposed payments. This legal uncertainty casts a long shadow over the entire plan. There's another layer to consider. Economists warn that tariffs often lead to higher prices for everyday goods, as importers pass the extra costs on to consumers. That means the so-called dividend from tariff revenue might simply be returning money that families have already paid at the checkout counter, rather than providing new relief. So, the central question remains: is this truly a fresh form of financial support for Americans, or is it just a complicated way of refunding the higher prices people have already absorbed due to tariffs? The answer will depend not only on the outcome of the Supreme Court case, but also on how the government chooses to respond if the legal or economic landscape shifts. Will they find alternative funding, or will the plan be shelved entirely? For now, both the funding and the future of these payments remain as uncertain as the checks themselves, leaving many Americans waiting to see what happens next. Who would get a check? Trump says the payments would go to middle and lower-income Americans, not everyone. The government would likely use tax returns to set income limits, but those details aren't public yet. Past programs excluded individuals earning over $80,000 or couples over $160,000, but nothing's set in stone here. Lawmakers would need to define eligibility, and those decisions could spark political battles. It's also unclear if payments would be per person, per household, or include extra for children. Until official guidelines are released, eligibility remains a guessing game. The structure of the program will shape who benefits, and by how much. The fate of this proposal hinges on a Supreme Court case over the legality of Trump-era tariffs. Businesses argue the tariffs were imposed using emergency powers that didn't apply and want billions refunded. If the court agrees, the government could lose the very funds earmarked for stimulus checks. A ruling for the government keeps the plan alive. A ruling for businesses ends it. The decision is expected in the coming months and will determine if the tariff dividend is even possible. Until then, everything is on hold. The Supreme Court, not Congress or the White House, holds the key right now. All eyes are on the justices. Major retailers and businesses sued for refunds, claiming the tariffs were imposed without proper legal authority. For them, tariffs mean higher costs, either absorbed as lower profits or passed on to consumers as higher prices. Their lawsuit isn't just about money, it's about setting limits on presidential power to impose economic policy. A win could mean billions back for businesses, but would erase the funding for stimulus checks. The case highlights a clash business interests versus direct relief for consumers. The outcome will ripple through corporate balance sheets and family budgets alike. This legal fight is about more than refunds. It's about who pays and who benefits. The stakes couldn't be higher. While Trump champions the checks, his advisors are more cautious. Economic advisor Kevin Hassett says congressional approval would likely be needed, meaning more political hurdles. Even if the Supreme Court sides with the government, Congress must still pass a bill to authorize payments. Hassett is confident the government will keep the tariff money, but that's just an opinion. He also points to a shrinking federal deficit as a reason the country could afford the payments. Still, the process is far from automatic. The proposal faces legal, political, and logistical challenges at every step. The administration is making its case, but the outcome is far from certain. If you're curious about what the public really thinks will happen, there's a surprisingly effective place to look. The Eligibility markets. These platforms don't just reflect idle speculation. They aggregate the collective wisdom, hopes, and doubts of thousands of people who are willing to put their money on the line. In a world where headlines and opinions can be noisy and contradictory, betting odds offer a unique data-driven snapshot of public sentiment. Platforms like Polymarket and Kalshi have become digital arenas where people wager on real-world events, including whether or not Americans will receive another round of stimulus checks. These sites allow anyone to buy and sell shares in the outcome of political and economic events, turning predictions into a kind of market-driven poll. As of early February, the odds for a new stimulus payment were strikingly low, just 20% for a payment arriving by June, and only 39% for any time in 2026. These numbers aren't just random guesses, they're the result of real money being risked by people who've weighed the evidence and the news. Such low odds reflect deep skepticism about the proposal's chances of passing, especially given the complex legal hurdles and the intense political debates happening in Congress. Every new headline, every statement from lawmakers, and every legal challenge can nudge these odds up or down, but the overall mood remains cautious. While betting markets can't guarantee what will happen, they do offer a window into where the so-called smart money is flowing. Investors and traders analyze every bit of news, every policy shift, and every rumor, adjusting their bets in real time. For many Americans, the stakes are personal. Families anxiously check their bank accounts and mailboxes, hoping for relief that seems increasingly unlikely. The market odds echo this uncertainty, suggesting that most people don't expect checks to arrive soon, if at all. Of course, the odds can shift quickly with new developments. A sudden breakthrough in Congress or a change in the economic outlook could send probabilities soaring. But for now, hope is tempered by a sober reading of the facts. In the end, these markets act as a financial barometer of public sentiment, measuring not just what people want, but what they truly believe is possible in today's uncertain climate. The idea of a new $2,000 stimulus check is generating hope across the country, especially for families and individuals struggling to keep up with rising costs. Many are watching closely, wondering if this long-awaited relief will finally become reality. But while the proposal has sparked optimism, it faces a tough and uncertain road ahead, with several major obstacles still standing in the way. The first domino to fall will be the Supreme Court's decision on the tariffs. This ruling is crucial, because the entire funding plan for the stimulus hinges on whether the government can access billions in tariff revenue. If the court rules against the government, the plan could be dead in the water before it even gets started. But even if the government wins in court, the next step is no less challenging. Congress must still come together to pass a bill authorizing the payments. With a divided legislature and competing priorities, this will be another major hurdle that could stall or reshape the proposal. Lawmakers will have to debate and decide on key details. Who exactly will qualify for the checks? How much will each person receive? When will the money actually reach people's bank accounts? These questions are likely to spark intense negotiations and political wrangling in the weeks ahead. For now, the most important thing to watch is the Supreme Court's upcoming ruling. After that, keep an eye out for any statements or actions from the White House or Congress that could signal progress or setbacks on the stimulus front. Financial markets and betting sites are already weighing the odds, and most analysts say the chances of immediate passage are slim. Still, in Washington, surprises can happen, and the story is far from over. We'll be monitoring every twist and turn, tracking official statements, legislative moves, and public reactions. As new facts emerge, we'll bring you the latest updates and break down what it all means for you and your family. For millions of Americans, the question remains, will real help finally arrive, or is this just another political promise that fades away? As the debate continues, we'll be here to help you make sense of what's next.